everybody that is, still with us. First of all, thank you, panel. Definitely appreciate it. But we're actually going to open it up for questions and answers. So if something caught your attention earlier as far as the answer they said or something that they alluded to, please bring it up now. This is your opportunity to understand this a little bit more.
Hello. Hi, everybody. My name is Crystal Peterson, and my question to the panel. I've been hearing all of you guys' different journeys in life and how you got to where you are now. My question to the panel is, what common rookie mistakes did you make in the beginning of your career that you see happening too often now, and how did you guys bounce back, as opposed to women who necessarily made the same mistakes but didn't make it?
They are numerous, the mistakes I've made in my career. But I think, again, it's about perspective, viewing mistakes as opportunities to learn and grow. I think that's been what's worked for me. Folks who know me know that I'm not shy. I'm vocal. I'm going to speak up. I often don't suffer from being shy and perhaps moments that aren't necessarily appropriate for me to speak up and be vocal. But again, because I've had great champions and mentors and folks that have supported me, folks that I trust who will come to me and say, Nana, you know what? Probably not the right time. Probably not the right time to speak up and say that. So I've learned to pick my moments, and that's something I'm still developing through as a young professional today. Finding your voice, but finding the moments. I've also learned to push back sometimes and say, you know what, that had to be said. And it might have made folks uncomfortable, but I had to say it. So I think it's something I often reflect on and I often work on in terms of my own personal development, things that I engage in as a younger professional, where finding my moments to speak up and speak out, finding my voice, finding when it's appropriate, understanding that there are times when sitting back is more effective than speaking up, and finding the balance.
Go ahead. Okay. Go ahead.
One thing that I would suggest is learning early in your career how to promote yourself. That was something that I took a long time to learn, really too long to learn. You think that you do a great job and that's going to be enough, and I'm doing a great job, no one's going to see that. So you have to do a great job, but you also have to find a way to be visible in your organization, wherever you are. Make sure that you are doing a great job first and foremost, but make sure that you're being seen.
I think something that I learned early in my career, and I mentioned it when I shared my story. As I was thinking about mentors, I call them members of my village. When I thought about who I was adding to my village and the people who were going to be folks of influence for me, I didn't just look at those who had the job title that I may have wanted, or the job title that was the sexy, thing to do. I looked at everyone, and like I said, my most influential mentor when I first started out was my administrative assistant. She was willing, she knew where the bodies were buried, she knew who to stay away from, she knew what was going on, she'd been there for a long time, so she gave me the lay of the land, and she always looked out for me. So I think, making an effort to meet and speak with everyone and anyone, and build your network that way. Your network doesn't have to be AEs and SWAs or CEOs and CFOs. Look at anyone and everyone who can help contribute to your success and who can help make you a better person, who's invested in you as a person, and obviously you're going to give that back to them, right? It's a mutually beneficial relationship. But don't look past people who don't have the title that you think is important enough for you, because you never know who the people are who are going to help you, and as Mina so eloquently said, who are going to champion for you. Never underestimate anyone who can be a part of your village and a part of your journey.
I think for me, in the coaching world, I think in the beginning there's a lot of women that are volunteer coaches and assistant coaches. They get very, very frustrated because you may be coaching really well in your area and then you feel that you're not acknowledged for what you're doing, or maybe the counterpart your head coach may be a male and he takes the credit. So I think a lot of women get very, very discouraged in coaching because they don't feel that they can excel because no one's seeing what they're doing. I think that's one thing. I think another thing is being able to balance, like you were talking about earlier, the family life and being able to have children and being able to be there with your kids, but then also now not allowing that to be an excuse for what you have to do, but at the same time, you have to understand that you can do things, you can just have to work around your schedule. I have twins as well, and I know sometimes I would have to go home and be with them, but then I would have to go back to work and do my recruiting calls and things like that. So I think it's just that balance, and it really came true to me when I seen a female, she was in the bathroom and she was breastfeeding, she was a head coach, and she was breastfeeding her baby, and we kind of looked and laughed and said, I guarantee you none of my male counterparts are doing this. And she walked out and she went out there and coached and did very, very well. So I think it's not allowing yourself, not being so hard on yourself that because you do want it all, you do want to be successful in what you do, and it's okay to have a family and really understand that you might have to do things a little bit differently. You might have to go to work at different hours, but you can definitely have it all.
Hello, I'm Bethany Orr. I'm Bethany Orr. My question is, how do you prevent burnout in your field, considering the level of stress that is inherited with being an underrepresented demographic?
Okay. This is a lesson I had to learn the hard way. It probably took me a while. It's funny. One of my first bosses, he was always at work when I arrived, and he was always there when I left. He'd come early and stay late. And one day, I happened to get in a little earlier than I usually do, and I realized, he was there reading newspapers and magazines. And then he was staying, catching up on whatever was on the internet, on NCAS.com or whatever. So then I started realizing, okay, so you're not really working 7 to 6. You're doing other things. So as long as I get my work done when I'm supposed to be somewhere, I'm not trying to play the game of I'm going to be here longer than my boss. Because if you're just going to be here watching ESPN, you're wasting my time if I'm trying to, to be here later than you. I don't need to have that type of presence in the office. But really and truly, I think you have to have your priorities, and you have to understand and establish when you're going into work to let people know what's important to you, but let them know that obviously you're here to do your job. So, I've got these things done on my to-do list. I've got some time between, what I do now is I oversee 6 sports. So, this week, I had every night I'm doing something this week. So what I told myself is, all right, so I'm going to go in, I'm going to go to work, I'm going to make sure I grind out, get everything that I need to get done, and I'm going to leave at 3 or 3:30. I'm going to go home, probably just take a nap or run some errands or do whatever, and then come back for the soccer game, come back for the volleyball game. I don't have to stay here all day. So making sure that you take some time for yourself, as long as you're taking, in my opinion, as long as you're taking care of your business and you're handling your day-to-day, then you can make that time unapologetically, especially in intercollegiate athletics. You are always around and you're always available. You have to make sure that you take time for yourself. I've missed weddings. I've missed graduations of family members and people that I cared about because when I was younger, I felt like I had to be there. I had to be seen. And I will never get those moments back. So after those moments and after I missed one of my best friend's weddings, from that moment on, when I had interviews, I said, listen, I care about this job. I will do everything in my power to make sure that I'm taking care of my business, but my family comes first. I will never compromise anything professionally, but if I've got to go, know that it's because it's important in my life. But I will take care of my business, but I'm going to go. And I do that unapologetically now. I set that standard at the very beginning, but I also know that I have to back it up with the work that I do. And with people, knowing that and understanding that, they'll respect it because we all have boundaries, we all have families, we all have obligations. And so people understand that you've got to be able to have some of that balance. You can't be here all the time.
I think it's important, though, to create an atmosphere within the culture of your organization to have fun. I mean, you're in this profession, it's a lifestyle. I think everyone knows that. It's not your typical 9 to 5. So we will try to find ways it becomes your family. Sometimes you see them more than your own family. But I think it's key that if you're in a position where you can influence that, make sure that they are growing, that they have fun, that they do give time to their own family. And I realized that late, that especially with this younger generation, I mean, they're looking at you, they're judging, and you know, the work 24/7, not taking care of yourself is not something that people look up to. You know, where you're thinking, oh, I'm modeling the way, you're really not. And so I did have to learn that, and that can be a rookie move as well, rookie mistake, but it's important that you do allow for that if you're in the seat. Just to pick up on one thing that you said at the very end, you said when you are the only person, the only one, underrepresented demographic. One of the things that I think you have to do and that I try to do is pick your battles, because you could be fighting all the time. I know sometimes I'm in my office, I'm poised, I'm just waiting, just say something. So I can say something about women's issues or something, but you have to pick your battles because it's exhausting. So that's the point I wanted to share. And also just to follow on that, there are a lot of people, and maybe in athletic departments that you look different, but within overall higher education, I have made many friends, and no matter what you're in, you're going to have to face the same problems. There's always personnel, there's always drama, and that's when you go and, you know, have a cup of coffee or vodka, whatever your choice is, and really that will save you. I said coffee. Water. Water. And what I did when I was at the NCAA, when it was a tough day, or when I'm at work now, I go to a practice. I just walk and I just go and I see the student athletes, or I see them having, you know, they're working hard, but we're all doing what we're doing because of them. And at the NCAA, they always had this, I was in the old NCAA office, they always had this video. And I would just go, and finally they're like, okay, go in, because I'm the only one, and I just play the video, and it's just so inspirational, because you start from like youth, you know, through growing old, and sports is a part of your life, and, you know, we get to be a part of that, so it's exciting.
Hello, I'm asking Jocelyn, and my question for the panel is, as administrators, how do you inform those in your network about different career positions, and how do you ensure that there are employable candidates for those positions?
That's a question we're asking ourselves across the association, because we do see those numbers. That the numbers that were reflected earlier, that study that was done again in 2015. I think we knew that information existed, but for it to manifest so visibly, I think was important to the association. And I think the discussions we've been having across different committees, organizations, is how do we make sure the pipeline is robust, but how do we make sure folks are ready? And make no mistake, there are folks that are ready. The opportunities just need to be there. So it's about making sure that those champions, those folks that care a lot about improving those numbers and making sure opportunities are available to women and ethnic minorities in this field are communicating those opportunities. It's important that we make sure presidents, CEOs, those in positions of power and influence know about those positions and know who those folks are that are ready. I think, again, I spoke to this earlier. I've been the beneficiary of a lot of professional development across the association. I think the association does a good job of creating opportunities for students, for young professionals, taking advantage of that. There's a lot of free money out there. There's a lot of free professional development opportunities out there. Taking advantage of that, learning, and being prepared and growing. And then I think a lot of that development also happens in the work that you do every day, and asking questions, and having conversations with folks, and you doing the work yourself to be ready, taking advantage of professional development programs to be ready. But I think across this field, us taking a look inward and saying, what are we doing and how can we do it better to make sure there are opportunities for young professionals in this field to grow. So I think as you all advance in whatever career that you advance in, make sure you're looking back and make sure as you know about opportunities, as you become influencers or people in positions of power, that you're thinking about those things thoughtfully as you move forward, no matter what position you're in.
I think one is do your job really, really well. There are so many opportunities in athletics, professional, intercollegiate, youth, every division. Do it really well. Make sure you talk to your supervisor about where you want to be. And we will undoubtedly, if you do a great job, we'll give you that opportunity. It's be careful when you get that opportunity because then again you'll be judged, right? It's like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, and go like, please, okay, you got it. Now what are you gonna do? Like all internationals on you. And then then they sit back and they say, well, what did you do? And that is so key. And it's up to people in the chair to seek that out. We all want, if you're doing a really good job, of course we want you to stay. But if it's a really good, administrator, person, leader, they don't want you to grow. They want their tree to grow. I would love for there to be a big tree. I would kill for it. At the same time, I don't want to see them leave. We have someone, a former assistant rowing coach here who was with us for a long time. I was so upset when, she told me she's leaving for UCF. But I also know that's a great opportunity for her, so we're not going to stop her, but we want to help her get there. But be sure you tell your supervisor. And not necessarily, don't skip your supervisor, go straight to the AD or, to the executive director. Go through the certain channels, but let them know where you want to be, because we want to help, for sure. But make sure when you agree to do it, that you do it.
Just one more, and I think it's important too as administrators to be proactive in our conversations within our networks as well, right? So I'm always contacting my folks at the NCAA who have tentacles to all member institutions across the 3 divisions in terms of what are you hearing that's out there? Or hey, whenever you hear something, I have 2 or 3 folks that I know are really ready in these areas. So let's continue to talk, let's continue to chat. At the conference level, ladies, this is who I've got on my list. This is who's on my short list, who's on yours. Especially when we have people that are coming up, and then too, the coaches as well. I think it's really important for us who have some influence and some opportunity to be able to hire coaches, to be able to make sure that we're cultivating those young coaches and that we're keeping an eye on who's ready and who's available, so that when those opportunities present themselves, we can already insert some folks in those search committees. And I try to keep in touch with anyone that I've worked with at a search firm to say, hey, I know that we're not hiring right now, but here are a couple names of folks that I've just seen along the way. Make sure you keep them on your list as you're going out and working with other institutions and they're trying to hire folks too.
One more thing, if you're a little bit on the shy side, if the administrator says, hey, I want you to take charge of this, and you're like, oh, I don't know, I'm busy, take it. Mm-hmm. Do it. Because I like to put people where I think that they will do well in, even though you may not think so yourself. It's okay. And if you fail, don't worry about it. But just, if you have the opportunity, do not say no.
Let me just talk a little bit about the coaching world. I think the thing right now that I try to tell young women and young men is to learn to diversify. A lot of times if you're a sprint coach, that's all you want to do is just a sprint. But at the same time, a lot of universities may need someone that can do sprints and jumps. I told some of my field event coaches, learn the pole vault. They don't have a lot of pole vault coaches out there. So I'm trying to always talking to them about diversifying, trying to do more things. And now my conversation of late has been to a lot of young women is go into athletic administration, because before you just think that all you can do is just coach. You can do a lot more than just coaching, and you bring so much more to the table because you have been a student athlete, you have coached, and now go ahead directly into some form of athletic administration. I think that's so important. A year or two ago, a group of us, minority women, had a conference call. So every Tuesday we would have a conference call with other women in coaching. They were assistant coaches, a few of us were head coaches, some were directors of operation, and just to talk, just somewhere where you can just air your feelings and understand that all of us were going through the same challenges, but at the same time we were talking to each other about different jobs, availability, and we were not, it wasn't a lot of us, but we all knew somebody that knew somebody else that were coaching, and then we were able to say, hey, why don't you hire this person or consider that person. But a lot of times, like we've all mentioned earlier, you just need to be ready, and sometimes if you may not think you're 100% ready, go ahead and take the plunge, because even if you make a mistake, it's a lot easier to make the mistake while you're doing it opposed to sitting at home.
Mark Doherty of E17. So this mainly talks about the international type of work on international federations. And so as a follow-up of that, FIBA just recently disbanded their anti-racism task force, saying, and I quote, "The work is done and the task force has served their purpose." So my question for the panel is, both within our U.S. Federation and within the international federations, how do we continue to change the perspective that the work is not done? Thank you.
It's interesting doing this work, particularly doing this work in sport, talking about diversity in sport, because often people think that the work is finite. All of us on this panel are women of color, but we still have work to do in terms of understanding diversity, understanding our own biases, understanding sport culture and the impacts. I think we all individually have our responsibilities to continue to communicate that message. Again, I think part of that is who are in leadership positions in these bodies, committees, and otherwise, who are making the decisions to say the work is done. Often it's folks who don't look like the five of us on this panel. Often it's folks who don't have the lived experience to understand that the work is not done. So again, it's important that those bodies are diversified, that there are different perspectives represented, the spectrum of lived experiences are represented on those bodies and in those communities. But that can't happen unless folks, again, advance in positions of influence and power. Folks like the folks sitting in this room. So we each individually have a responsibility to continue the conversation, but certainly folks in positions of influence, power, and leadership have a responsibility to understand that. Helping that matter would, diversifying those bodies would help that matter, certainly, in my opinion.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I think that's one of the points that I was making, is that we have to see more people who look different than what currently exists, because those are the people that can say, well, this is the experience, it's my life experience, and the work is not done. The point I made earlier also is that in every single country, even this country, we have struggles with getting women in those positions. You would think that we are so advanced, and we've created great opportunities for women in sport and the like, but we still are very underrepresented, even the United States, in terms of women serving in positions. Look at the IOC, look at FIFA, look at all of these federations, look at the University Sport Federation. There is no American sitting on that University Sport Federation Executive Committee at this time, male or female. And so then we can't have change if we don't have people in the room to speak to it.
I also think FIFA's a mess. So kind of whatever they say, I think everyone in the public takes it for a grain of salt. But thank you for telling me, because we're not going to be, we don't care if we're going to be FIFA certified this year or any other year.
Hello, my name is Karen Grant. I'm also a member of the Cross Graduate Program in 2015. I wanted the panel to talk a little about intersectionality. I noticed that many of you kind of highlighted being a woman in sport feel that that's a fair question to have to answer. And then also, if there are any experiences you had that you felt impacted you as a woman of color more than they would have impacted maybe other women or men of color.
You have to see that being a coach, you are in a male-dominated position. And yes, I face discrimination, and at the same time, there have been a lot of challenges. And you have to, number one, I think the first thing I learned was that I can't do like everybody else. I can't be one of the boys. I don't go down to the bar and listen to, how you can recruit this person and recruit that person. Because I don't want my young ladies, number one, to see me at the bar, and number two, I don't want there to be an opinion about me while I am sitting at that bar. So the first thing I did was to make sure that I wanted my young ladies to see me the way I want them to be perceived. So we go there to attract me, and we take care of business. So when I'm someplace, they will always know Coach Bowles is about business. My male counterparts can do anything they want to, but I couldn't. I think that's one thing. I think moving forward, I think sometimes, especially now in track and field, there's a push for directors of track and field. So you have a men's team and a women's team, and a lot of times the women are assistant coaches. But then when they become a director of track and field, so you take care of the men and women's team, all of a sudden, instead of taking that female coach, you take the male coach. And now all of a sudden the male coach is the director of track and field. He seems to be the one that they appoint to be the director of track and field. But they could have very well seen the female, and all of a sudden, well, maybe she can't coach men. Or maybe she can't do this, or maybe she has to go home to her family. She can't put the time in. So a lot of times those are the biases that you face. And a lot of times it's subtle. It may be harassment. It may be where you're coaching somebody very, very well and somebody else takes the credit for it. Or you've seen that, well, she's not tough enough. Or she's too tough. Where the male counterpart may not be having those particular conversations. So I think it's really about making sure that you do your homework as a coach or as an administrator. You know what you're doing and you're confident about what you're doing. Because you're going to face bias and you're going to face discrimination. It's just whether or not you're strong enough to go ahead and not allow that to crumble you, but to prepare you higher. You ready?
So I've been asked that question many times, and for me, I cannot separate the two. I am who I am, and my experience is based on all of this. The point that I made earlier in my presentation is that the more dimensions of diversity that you add to it, then it increases the type of bias that you might face. So, woman of color, woman of color, immigrant. So now you've got three different things. If you add to that gay, disabled, then you've got a whole host of additional biases, but you can't separate them because if that's who you are, that's the person that you are. There's a really interesting exercise, I think I've seen it on Facebook, probably you've seen it, with this idea of privilege. And so all these people start at the line and then you step forward or you step back based on a series of questions. And at the very end, at the back was a woman of color who was gay. And that person was the person that was experiencing probably the most bias in this experience. So to answer your question, personally, I can't separate the two. I think that it's part and parcel for who I am.
From my experiences, and this is just my lens, right? Who knows if this is really what's happening? But internally, whenever I'm within an organization or at an institution, internally, I think the challenges that I face deal with my youth and my gender, not necessarily my skin color. And it's, oh, well, you know, Ray can speak on behalf of the young folks, or, oh, wait, you're not where we are just yet, so your opinion, yeah, we get it, but just wait, live a little longer, right? It's like, okay, well, I'm at the table, so at least something is valid. But so it's internally, that's what I usually face in terms of the bias there. Externally, it's interesting because it is probably a combination of the three. So again, I get, oh, are you a graduate assistant? Are you an intern? No, I'm the senior associate, and like 2 or 3 years younger than my boss now, right? So it's very interesting, especially having a young AD and Danny White, that I think that's changed some of the perspective, at least here within the groups that we interact with and interface with. But whenever we're going out externally, and we're working with folks externally, all three are very apparent in terms of, oh, the assumption is that I'm somebody's assistant initially, right? And so I get up and speak, or I have a chance to sit down and eat with someone and we have an exchange. Then it's, oh, you speak so well, or oh, you're so eloquent. It's like, well, you know, been around for a while, and 2 degrees will do that for you. But you know, it's having that dichotomy sometimes is frustrating. And then the challenge there is moving past some of that, forgiving a little bit of that, and then trying to educate through the rest of the interaction to, you know, allow people to get familiar and comfortable with the fact that, yes, I'm young, I'm black, I'm a female, and I'm a senior level administrator, and it's really nice to meet you. So, you know, having some of those opportunities.
I think I'll just add that that's why, and I really appreciate you speaking intersectionality. That's why broad advocacy is important. I think often, particularly in this field, we get competitive about resources. So we begin to engage in that kind of oppression Olympics, like who's got it worse, who needs the resources more. But that's how we need to advocate for each other. We need to understand the broad scope of diversity, the breadth and depth of it, that we need to advocate for women and women of color and people of color and people with disabilities and international students and the queer community. And all of those things are important that we're thinking about the underrepresentation of all of these communities and advocating for them across the spectrum. Because so many folks' identities are intersectional, they're layered. You can't separate them, and nor should you separate them. And that's why it's important to have the diversity at the top level.
Karen, did you have a follow-up question on that?
Okay, good morning. My name is Brianna Vaughn, also a part of the Boss Graduate Program. My question is more geared toward you, Dr. Toby, but what are you all doing as a division to broadcast how many opportunities are available in Division 3, especially towards women of color?
I'm so glad for that. I say that because we're really proud of the work we're doing in Division 3. We're fortunate to have great leadership in our division. Lisa Cleary, the director of Division 3, has championed this cause, especially for underrepresented communities. So the division itself specifically has dedicated financial resources to broadcasting these opportunities, to professional development of the pipeline, and to telling folks that Division 3 is a great space to make a career. We have several professional development programs that are new in the last 2 or 3 years, but what I'm most proud of is Division 3 is now taking folks that have participated in all of these programs and has created a database of all of these folks who are saying, hey, you all are ethnic minorities, you all are women, you've engaged in these professional development opportunities. Here are the professional opportunities that are available. Here are opportunities to serve on committees across the association. Here are leadership opportunities that are open. We actually have seen a significant trend in Division 3 of Division 1 administrators. Folks coming over to Division 3 and pursuing careers in Division 3. So we do know that careers in Division 3 are viable, sustainable, and attractive. The trick now is making sure that the right folks know that those careers are viable, sustainable, and attractive. That when you go to professional development programs and you talk about Division 1 and the Autonomy 5 and football and basketball, we're also talking about being a head football coach in Division 3 and what that means. Being a head basketball coach in Division 3 and what that means. Being a director of athletics, being a higher education professional in general at the Division 3 level, what that means. So Independent Division is aware that we need to do a better job of selling ourselves, but we're working hard at it. Because we know there's a lot of talent out there that can benefit from working at Division 3, Division 2. And outside of the autonomy 5 and Division 1, there are a lot of opportunities.
We're going to take this about 1 or 2 more questions.
Can everybody hear me? Yeah. It's not working.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, cool. I'm Caitlin Ellenberg. I am a member of the DeVos T18 program as well as an NCAS graduate assistant. My question is, when we leave here, most of us will not go into the executive ranks immediately, even if we aspire to be there. So how do you suggest, as a woman or someone who's not a minority figure, how do you suggest that we make a difference in the statistics that we were shown earlier?
No, I'm not shy. So, I think awareness of this conversation is the first step. I think it's easy to sit in this room, lament about all the problems, and then move on with our days and our lives. But understanding that we all have a responsibility to impact these numbers, to create opportunities. So thinking about that when you engage in professional development and you build your own network, making sure your network is diverse, making sure you're communicating opportunities to folks that you know, making sure you're reaching out to diverse leaders and talking to them about their experiences, making sure you're engaging in personal and professional development in terms of diversity education. No matter what field you're in, whether you work in higher education, professional sports, or otherwise, I think understanding diversity, understanding inclusion, understanding the benefit of a diverse workforce is important. Everybody in this room has a responsibility to do that, no matter what your identity. So I think carrying those small things with you into your careers can have a significant impact. But I think often we work in spaces that are homogenous, that aren't very diverse, and we don't have to think about these things. We think about these things all the time because these are the experiences that we live every day. But I think you have to be intentional about your self-education around these issues. You have to be intentional about how these things manifest in your professional careers. So I think that's a small thing that everybody can do. But certainly there are opportunities to seek out professional development. I think the work that's being done in Central Florida around these issues is incredible, and some of the best work in the country around these issues. So you all are at the front door of a lot of this work, so really taking advantage of that.
I think in keeping a rock star, I mean, there's already a number on you right now, right? You're going into athletic administration, you're a woman. I mean, this class, we had it a long time ago, there'd just all be minority women. I mean, to see guys in the room, to see this, I mean, I'm actually pretty excited about the future of athletic administration. But take advantage of everything. I mean, one of your colleagues, one of your peers, Suzanne, gave us a ride, introduced herself, said, she's coming over, do I want coffee? She's talking about Starbucks. Oh, I mean, things like that, trust me, I'm impressed. I'm going to remember her. And, all of a sudden I think, what do you want to do? Oh, marketing, you know what? Advancement. Oh, my God. You could get money out of it. That's kind of where we're at, is the whole revenue part. And make a great impression. I'm not going to forget this person. And we didn't talk about athletic administration. It was about a 5-minute ride. So just keep being a rock star.
And I would also suggest, as you mentioned, you're not all going to graduate and become senior associate athletic director somewhere if your path is athletic administration. And so, some of you are going to be entry-level employees in somebody's athletic department. And my suggestion to you is to do what those of us that are in higher level positions are doing now, is keeping in mind who we serve. Right? Every day, keeping in mind who you're serving. You're serving student athletes. You're serving a very diverse group of young people. And so making sure that you're starting to cultivate your mentorship through your relationships with student athletes. Every day, talking to everyone, right? Empowering and practicing how to empower other people, invest in other people. And those skills will carry on with you as your career continues to grow. Because not only as, an entry-level administrator, you have an influence on the young people that you touch every day to empower them to be their best.
and to keep an eye on them as you have opportunities to hire graduate assistants or to help them on in their career path. As you continue to grow, those characteristics and those values will continue to stay with you, and you'll get back to not only the student athletes, but now you're in a position to mentor other entry-level administrators. Now that you become a director, now you're looking at the assistant directors, and you're looking at administrative assistants and graduate assistants. And so as you continue to grow, that continues to stay with you, and so you'll be able to continue to develop people. But start where you are. Start with working on developing those folks that you're serving and you're working with and working for, and then continue to grow that path as you continue to accelerate in your profession.
Last question, and then we'll turn it over to Dr. Maria Tenda.
Hi, my name is Mark. I'm part of DAE, and I have a question for all of you. You've all spoken about being ready and being prepared, being ready to go. Ms. Stewart, you specifically spoke about a young lady that you said will be, but she's not ready yet. And Ms. Bolden, you had the moment with Mr. Kersey where all of a sudden it was like, okay, you can be a coach now. And Ms. June, you're talking about growing your tree. Besides just doing your job really well and working very hard, what are you all as administrators looking for as someone that you see all of a sudden, okay, they're ready? What's another aspect of that readiness? Because you do have people here aiming to be head coaches, aiming to be ADs. Right now they're green, but we want to know, we want to share your experience. We want to know.
And from an administrator looking at a coach, really and honestly, what was the difference maker between this young woman and obviously Coach A, who we hired? Coach A has a record. She's been here, she's done that, we've seen it. But I kid you not, the answers to the questions that we asked were parallel in comparison. Just one of our coaches was more seasoned than the other and was proven that she could come in and hit the ground running. But I think what happened with the other young woman is, after speaking with her a couple of days later, was one, she realized how much she wanted to be a head coach, and two, she then realized, okay, so these are the areas that I need to continue to grow in from what I experienced in that interview. And now I know the questions that are going to be asked and what I need to be prepared for. When you ask that question, I also think of somebody like Crystal Peterson, who's our graduate assistant in our office. And I look to see, is she doing things on her own? Is she coming in because she wants to come in? Is she coming in because she has to come in? When we're asking her to do things, is she doing exactly what I'm asking her to do, or is she going above and beyond what I'm asking her to do? Does she grasp what we're trying to get done? Does she understand what it means to work in this environment and to represent our office? And once I see that with Crystal, she's been with us for a year, right? Well, not a year, a couple months. She's working on her first year with us. But when I think about somebody who's ready, it's somebody that I know that I don't have to ask to take care of something because they're already ahead of the task. They're already thinking 3 steps ahead and are already anticipating what's coming next. But most importantly, they're doing their job. They're not trying to do anybody else's job. They're just trying to do their job really, really well. And they've got a grasp of what it is that they're responsible for, what other people are responsible for, but they're taking care of their business without me having to watch over them all the time. So when I look for somebody who's job ready, it's somebody who can come in, explain what they do, top to bottom, have a greater grasp of what our area does and what athletics is about, and somebody who can articulate what it is that they want to do in their next step. So being able to prove those steps is helpful for me.
I think in the coaching world, first of all, I think Bobby saw in me, and this is what I look at, so much passion and their enthusiasm. As a coach, no matter what's going on with you personally, when you walk through those gates, you have to have that enthusiasm, that passion, that readiness, because that's what your athletes need. Because they're going to class all day, they're tired, they have other things going on, and the last thing they want is to walk out to that field and feel as if there's a problem with you. You have to always have that air that you're ready, you're enthusiastic, and you're ready to help them to do whatever they need to do to get through that particular day. The other thing I think Bobby saw in me was that I didn't wear my feelings on my sleeve. You have to have tough skin, and you have to be able to accept criticism. You cannot go out there, especially in a position where you're in a position where somebody may criticize what you're doing, not in a bad way, or they may just say, hey, have you thought about doing it this way? So you have to understand that you just cannot wear your feelings on your sleeve, and that who's ever giving you advice is trying to help to better you. The one thing that Bob Kersey said to me in my very early years of coaching is that do not coach these young ladies or young men the way you were coached at the high part of your career. I had won an Olympic gold medal. I had been ranked 5th in the world. I was making money running track. His conversation and my thought patterns were a lot different than an 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old. So I had to really understand that what I was talking about and thinking of when I was at the height of my career, I have to think differently when I'm trying to get someone to understand something and when they're fresh out of college, when they're fresh out of their parents' home and they're 18-year-old and they do not know anything. They have not experienced anything. Some of them, this is their first time being away from their parents, first time even learning how to cook. I mean, that is a reality, just learning how to cook and to wash their clothes. That is the two things I've learned as a head coach that kids just don't know. So as I'm talking, I have to really understand, I had to understand the difference. And so once Bobby felt that I had grasped those things, that I could understand when I was 18 years old, that I had that passion, that enthusiasm, and I could take any type of criticism, then I thought I was ready, and that's what I try to teach other people. You do know crystals weren't mine, right?
Yes, I
Just
do.
You know,
Hello.
you know when you know. And I actually got that when, I've always wanted to fly. And so, the big thing when you're flying is your instructor would say, okay, it's time for solo. And so that came from me and I said, no, I'm not ready. And she said it was a female instructor, which was unusual. Probably why I stayed in it for so long. I figured, okay, she can do it, I can do it. And I said I wasn't ready. I was crying at the end of the runway. And where we take off is very by Colgate. So I was thinking that I was going to crash land on my practice field and kill every single one of our student athletes. And so I said no. And she's like, no, you're ready. And I did it. Second landing was hard. But you know when you know. The one thing I encourage people not to do with their supervisor is always look for the next job. Sometimes they forget that to do their own job, and they're always looking, and you don't want to be one of those. And as an AD, we know when we meet those, and it's a hard conversation to have. And be perseverant. I'll give an example. I'm going to put her on the spot. Kathy Les, who's the assistant rowing. When I first met her, she was very quiet. I would always say, hello, because I'm kind of a friendly person, and she wouldn't say a word. And I'm like, what is wrong with that rowing assistant? And then they're telling me, she really wants to, go into administration. She wants to do other things. And I said, she doesn't even say hello. And then she wanted to go to Aqua, and I said, you gotta be kidding me. I don't know her. How is this gonna work? And then they said, you know what? She's gonna pay her way. And then all of a sudden I'm going to different events, and there she is working it. And then all of a sudden, I said, well, maybe she's just shy, maybe, so one thing you want to do if they have a pet, get to know their animal, and she has a really cute dog, and she was at a softball game, and so we had a conversation, but it's, sometimes the ADs we aren't smart, and we make, quick decisions all the time. That's what we're used to doing. But get to know them. Even if we could be wrong a lot of the times, and if you just keep doing what you're doing, eventually we get it. And I'm a huge fan of Coach Les, and that that is something, though, that she had to do on her own. And I respect that. And, you know, that just gives you one example of, we know when you're ready. Just be ready.
There are a few things that we look for at Swarthmore College specifically, but I also apply this myself personally. So I think Denise mentioned it earlier, being able to sell yourself, having confidence is an important thing. Sometimes you're not going to know how to do everything in a specific job, but do you have confidence in your ability to learn? Do you have confidence in your ability to engage with other people? Do you have confidence in your ability to develop? We look for that. But we also look for the balance of that willingness to learn. We often, when we talk about coaches and hiring coaches that come in with a steadfast philosophy that are unwilling to change often fail at our level. You have to be willing to adopt and change and understand the constituency you're coaching to, understand young people, understand that they're all going to be different, and how are you making adjustments to that. So willingness to learn is important. What are the other tangible things that make you indispensable? So if we have 5 candidates that are equal in experience, there's not a lot of variety. What makes one particular person indispensable? We look at that. What do we think can add to our institutional environment, our department environment that nobody else can add? So find that thing that makes you indispensable when you're hired and when you're kind of on the market. And then I also think, specifically, I'm speaking to Swarthmore, understanding the environment. Oftentimes we have people applying for jobs. They don't understand that we're a liberal arts college. They don't understand our academic rigor. They don't understand our student athletes. They don't understand our institutional culture. You have to understand the environment in which you're applying, and more importantly, you have to understand what's the best fit for you. Sometimes we interview folks and we know it's not a good fit. They're a great candidate, but it's not a good fit. You have to understand what's the best fit for you. Understand the environment in which you'll thrive. Understand the environment in which you'll develop and you'll learn. So it's important for us when we're hiring folks that they understand our environment. Do they understand Division III and what that means? Do they understand our student athletes? Do they understand Swarthmore and our kind of progressive culture? Do they understand those things? So it's important that you do the work and you do the research when you're putting yourself out in the field. I think more than anything, having confidence and being indispensable.
If I get the final word. So you will get 100 different answers to that question if you ask 100 people. Because although there are themes that we look for, a lot of times it's going to be a connection that is made when someone decides, okay, you're ready, and I'm going to hire you. And so you have to be very savvy. You have to be able to assess the situation. You have to figure out what I want, essentially, and show me that you have what I want. If I could speak directly to the women in the room, we've worked with a lot of search firms over the years, many different positions, and one of the things that I've heard consistently is that when men apply for a position, they may have 2 out of 10 things on the list. They're like, yeah, I can do this job. I'm going to make it work. The woman will have 8 out of 10, and she will say, boy, I don't have those other 2. I'm just not. I don't think I can do it. Be confident. Believe in yourself. Most people, when they get into a job, they're going to learn the job, and you can do it too. So I think if I could leave you with just one word specifically for the women in the room, is be confident.
So to keep the momentum going, we have some takeaway message and call to action to raise more awareness on invisible women in sport. Follow us, tweet, retweet, regularly post comments, articles, quotes, the hashtag invisible women in sport.
In addition to that, we just want to thank you all for being here today and just really getting into pretty much the nitty-gritty of this our panelists and really being aware of the situation that we're in and the situation that our women of color are facing in the sport industry as well. Before I turn it over to Dr. Maria Santana, please do, as Trisha said, follow NCAS, be able to look out for more panels, more symposiums, things of that nature. But we also want to recognize some of the people in the room who are not from the Boston NCAS. So if you are not from the Boston NCAS, we ask you to please stand and just say your name and what organization you are representing.
in college of medicine, and I'm a member of our Council of Inclusion and Diversity.
Hello, I'm Ashley Johnson, and I'm on the track and field team.
Hello, can I read that? Oh, sorry. Okay. No.
Hello.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Terry Cooley. I'm a senior studying health administration, and I'm also a member of the NCAS Women's Track and Field team and cross country team.
Hi, everybody. I'm Taylor Pritchett. I'm a human communications major, and I'm part of the track and field team as well.
Yeah, there you go. Hi, everyone. I love to hear me. I'm Cecily Jones. I'm a communications major, and I'm also a part of the track team.
Hello, my name is Connie Crush. I'm one of the women's rowing coaches here at UCF.
I'm Kathy Less. I'm also one of the women's rowing coaches here at UCF.
Hi, my name is Maggie Mitchell. I'm one of the rowing coaches at UCF.
Anyone else?
Okay.
I'm Mariah Hoffman. I'm a biotech major, and I'm with the Lead Scholars.
Hi, I'm Monique Diana, freshman in college, double majoring in English business and with the Lead Scholars Academy.
Hi, my name is Julian Polifrone, and I am a writing and rhetoric and radio TV major at UCF and also in Lead Scholars Academy.
Thank you, everybody.
Wait, we have one more?
My name is Kristen Bones. I'm a UCF alumni, and I am a volunteer coach for UCF track and field. Thank you.
Just to close this out, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Maria Santana. Dr. Maria Santana is the director of the Women and Gender Studies program here at UCF. She's also an associate professor, and she earned her PhD and master's from Temple University and a bachelor's from the University of Puerto Rico. Some of her research interests are women's history and, just like Dr. Lapchick, human trafficking as well, and kind of the media landscape and how women are viewed. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Maria Santana. She's going to close this out.
Thank you. Ladies, I stand with you, and I stand as tall as I am. Actually, I feel taller after listening to all of you. I'm not an athlete, but I do have a daughter who is an athlete. And her experience and the way that she navigated them taught me a lot about discipline, about honor, and about courage. So this idea came together out of new friendships, networking. I met Elise and I fell in love with her, and after listening to her, I had to hire you to teach a class. That's a must. And then I met Garnett, and then I thought, I love these people because they're professionals. They are transparent, and they have a message. We meet so many people all the time, full of hot air, that we can never read, that we can never associate with, because we cannot trust. So, my experience was the opposite with them. So I'm very excited and very proud of the effort put here together. I prepared some words to share with you. I bring you greetings from women and girls around the world. My job is the best job for me because I get to think, act, and change people's minds. That seems easy, right? You might know me by another word, teacher. In a long career in academics, you find many difficult things and joys. I can say that meeting all of you today was a joyful moment. And I can tell you that by listening to our panelists today, I had moments of joy, and I also had moments of sadness. Empowerment is the definition of the level of action a person can do on their behalf. I might think that I have the power, but can it become real? When I watched the recent Olympics in Rio de Janeiro, I often thought, that's a great moment in history and in her story. Women athletes are as dedicated, strong, and brave as men athletes. Women love to compete and excel. I have never met a woman who is lazy and doesn't want to do her best. Perhaps I have this romantic notion about womanhood, but I can tell you what I have witnessed in the last 27 years of higher education. Women are studious, engaging, and competitive. With more than half of the population in the world, it should be no surprise that many women are athletes and love sports. After all, sport is for all of us. Empowerment is not only an individual choice, but a collective effort. Opportunity has to be available for action to take place. How many women of color we have here today telling us their story? Do you think they are the only ones? The reason we are here is because in an institution of higher education, topics of relevance many times are topics of conflict. Why not a woman coach, a manager, or even a team owner? The face of success comes in many colors and shapes. Definitely, the face of competition comes in the face of ethnic women. But why not shape the power in the field? Are we still defining excellence by hiring people that look like our current CEOs? When are we going to ask, is there anybody else? Have we tried to look hard enough? Excellent candidates are not always at the top of the short list, but instead are the candidates most preferred by many. If one step takes us forward, we need to bring as many others with us as possible. Yes, I am talking about supporting women of color. I'm telling you that a conscientious effort needs to take place to help them lead a path towards leadership. Take, for example, a top woman of color athlete. What happens after college? How many go into coaching, higher education, other employment? Why not reinvest in them, returning to sports, but this time in charge of it? These are not dreams, but precise strategic movements. And like any strategic movement, it requires precision and repetition. I invite you to think about it and make it happen. Thank you.
All right, that concludes our panel. So thank everybody for
Just one
today.
thing before we go. So Vicky's selfies are world famous. She needs to take a selfie with this room. So before you leave, please let her take a selfie.
All right, right here.
After the selfie, there is a reception in the DeVos office. You are not aware where the DeVos office is. And after the selfie, you are ready to go.
Yes, sir. Sorry. Super awesome chair. Go on and say something.
We hit live. Orlando, Florida.